Yes, as promised. Welcome to Friends from Work. I'm Al. You guys know that. And you guys also know that's not important because what is important is I'm joined by my mama, Dr. Jackie McLemore. How are you, Mom? You look great.
Thank you. I'm doing well. Happy to be here. This is exciting. I get to be
Yes.
Tory.
Yes. You kept texting me and saying, I don't want to do the show if Tori's on. And I was like, Mom, I don't know if that's appropriate. But your dream came true. She's not
I
no.
was
She
terrible.
Have
Tory
you
knows.
been following her stories on Instagram?
Yes, I do.
She looks like she's having a great time. And what Sarah said to me yesterday at the baseball game is it looks like they're rediscovering who they are as a family. And it's tough because their mom was she was the kind of like the sun that they orbited around. So it's like
Yeah,
they're trying to configure who they are. And I think a nice long cruise is the way to do it.
yeah, reconfiguring the family. Yeah.
I mean, you have, more than anybody, just been no doubt, the steward and the matriarch of our family. So tell us, before we get started, we always talk a little bit. What's going on in your part of the world, which is currently South Carolina? How you liking it? How was the transition there from Cleveland?
Hard. It was hard.
Really?
Yes. I mean, there's so much that is great about South Carolina. It's mostly the people, it's family, and I like discovering new places and new things. But remember, I was only here a few months before the pandemic hit. So I felt like that
Yes.
was a freeze frame on my experience in the transition.
Well, I'll tell you, everybody, Marcy, everybody in the chat is saying hello to you. Julia, who always holds us down in the chat, she said, should we call you Dr. J? What should we call you?
Just Jackie is fine.
All right. I like Jackie. All
Yes.
right. Now I'm going to still call you Mama.
Yes, I was
I
about
don't
to say,
know. Would it be weird if if I just came home, I came to South Carolina with Sarah and I was like, oh, it's my mom, Jackie. I could never call you by your first name. I don't know what that is. It's just locked in.
I have friends who call their parents by their first name and always have. My friend Teresa calls both of her parents, Richard and Margot. She always has.
That's it. Well, Tory calls her dad Jerry all the time. She's
Yeah.
always like, even like when he's there, I think. But Tory said that she went to, obviously a very progressive school in DC, and they call their teachers by their first name.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah,
progressive.
I know. That's very progressive. You growing up in Jackson, Mississippi, how would that have gone down if you had just called one of your
It would
teachers?
not. It would not go down. It would not have gone down well then, and it would not go down now. So,
Absolutely not. Yeah, I like that there's some, anybody that watches this show knows, like, for as much as I'm all about progress, I do think that traditions are important. And I think we need to know that we come from somewhere and there is a hierarchy of respect if it has been earned that I think should kind of stay in place. So,
yes.
yeah. Yes, Lucy, it's called manners. Yeah, but manners is manners does, Lucy. And some people, like, I think Tori's family, like, they don't see it as bad manners to call somebody by their first name, where I would never. I still call Jerry Mr. Shulman.
Yes.
Yes.
That's correct.
So, all right. So what was so you've kind of highlighted the good things about South Carolina: family, food, which I have, just I could not be there because I cannot control myself around that food. What was like the hardest transition?
Learning my way around because the whole geography here, the topography of South Carolina is so different because there are all the waterways, it's a coastal region. So there rarely is there's always one direct way to get there and usually not another option. So that's one thing that made it hard. Um, and because the culture is different, I mean, I've always thought of myself as someone who can read people pretty well, connect with people pretty well. But here in the South Carolina South, to double up the South there, trying to figure out what people are really trying to communicate to me. What's really going on? People are saying one thing, but really, what are they saying? What are they really feeling and thinking? So that's still a work in progress.
Almost like when somebody in the South says "bless your heart" and that you find
Yeah,
out it's not a good thing.
that is exactly correct.
Okay, that
Yeah,
makes perfect sense. And my Julia just said Low Country,
look.
which is like a thing. It was a group you were a part of.
Well, yes, but I mean that is the whole region. And when you say low country, that just says so much about the culture of this part of South Carolina. But let me give you a quick example. I went someplace, they were having this quilting exhibit, and I was talking to a lady, and she said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Oh, I live over in Somerville." And she said, "No, where are you from?" And I thought, I did not understand what she was asking me. She knew I was not from here. So the phrase here is "you're from off," which means you're not.
Oh,
That's one way that it's described.
well, I just saw Michael Dean. He just asked in the chat, "What is Gullah?" Because somebody said that in the chat. So, can you briefly explain like what Gullah culture is in South Carolina? I know it's
Oh,
hard.
it's hard, and so I have a lot of respect for Gullah culture here. But people who have Gullah heritage here in the Low Country are people, many of whom can trace their origins from West Africa. And there are lots of traditions, both food, culture, music, ways of communicating that distinguish Gullah culture from other aspects of African American culture. And it's not just in the Low Country. Gullah cultures in other parts of South Carolina and Georgia, for sure. But it's the accent, the language structure, all of those things are different. And it's a fascinating, wonderful culture. So I've really enjoyed learning more about that. That's been a real plus of being here.
That's cool. So, is it kind of like adjacent to like what Creole culture would be in Louisiana, like its
Oh,
own
yeah,
kind of
adjacent. I
right?
don't want to say equivalent, but yeah, adjacent to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mom, we're gonna get it right into our first sponsor. Now, we are sponsor. Our first sponsor ever was Spider Movers, and we do a segment called "Moving On." So we're gonna do that right now. All right. We want to give a shout out to Spider Movers. I cannot tell you guys how much I appreciate and love Spider Moving. They've been with us since day one. They're our first sponsor ever, and they believed in us. And Mom, they've helped me move twice. So we do a segment called "Moving On," and it's just like a little weird thing that might kind of bother you a little bit. Nothing that you get enraged about, but something that you find like just maybe a little off-putting. And for excuse me, for me, this is kind of weird, but I'm always like, I never know how gift cards work in terms of like if you're at a restaurant and you have a $50 gift card and you give them like $37, do they keep the balance or do you get that back on the gift card? But I never want to ask because I feel like that seems like cheap or like not
You just want to
classy.
give them the whole gift card, even if you're just spending $37.
Right. Like I'm like, do you add because then they give you a gift card and it's like there's $7 back on that. Like they're I don't want to get that little tood, even though it's technically my money. So I don't know, Mom. Is there any like little thing that bothers you? I hate to put you on the spot like there. Is there anything where you're like, I'm really kind of over this?
Well, I don't know if it's little, but there is like, and this is something specific to South Carolina.
Yes.
I am really over big, loud trucks and big tires. I am over it. I don't understand what's going on here. I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot about trucks that I don't understand, so I will admit my ignorance. But I'm just over it. You know, the way people pull up beside you and it's their big, huge tires and they're so loud. And anyway, that's
It,
what I'm over.
you are perfectly within your rights to be over that. It's because you know what it is. It always seems purposeful. It seems like those cars are meant to intimidate because they're so much bigger than yours and so
Yes.
much louder than yours. And you're always just like, it is 9 a.m. on a Sunday, bro. What do we, what attention do you need? So, yes, I totally get that culture. And I think it's purposeful that you feel like that you're kind of over it. I feel like it's a way to symbolize to other people with big loud trucks, we are one. So, mama,
Maybe if I weren't driving a Honda CRV, I'd feel differently about it. But
that we just got to get you a big truck. That's all. You in
yeah,
South Carolina now. Let's act accordingly. Yellow pickup truck on deck.
yeah.
All right, Ma, let's get to our main story. All right. Everybody's talking about it. Of course, we're going to get to the Epstein stuff. Don't worry. But before we do, we got to talk about RFK Jr. Mom, he was requested to testify today. He's fired over 10,000 people from the NIH, CDC. Now, granted, he's denied pressuring, ousting the CDC director and said the shakeups were necessary after COVID. I watched some of his testimony, Mom. He said that he was unaware of how many Americans died during COVID, and he had no data because of the Biden industry, because of the Biden administration, of how many of if the vaccines were effective at all. He's also made it a lot more difficult for Americans to get vaccines in general, and he's made it more difficult for people under the age of 65 to get the new COVID vaccine unless you pay, because now it's something that obviously your insurance used to pay for your COVID vaccine. Now you have to pay out of pocket if you want it before if you are younger than 65, and it can range anywhere from 120 to 250 bucks to get the COVID vaccine, which means that most people won't get it. So what do you just make of all this? I guess shakeup is the word. Don't forget, last week we saw that big walkout from a lot of the people that work underneath RFK Jr. Like, what do you think is behind this, and what do you think his ultimate goal is?
Oh, his ultimate goal. I think his ultimate goal is to totally get rid of all kinds of vaccines in this country, which is so scary. It's so frightening to me. And I think another casualty of this is people's belief and faith in public health has been decreasing since the pandemic. So I think that this adds to it. So even if people are inclined to get the COVID vaccine, all of this confusion and anger and the fact that people are resigning, that people are being fired, I think makes it harder for people who would be getting the vaccine to get it. And then for people who may be ambivalent, you know, they're probably going to be more ambivalent about it. So I think we'll be dealing with the side effects of this for a really, really long time.
Yeah, I mean it's sad, and I think because COVID is so recent in our rearview mirror, we all automatically think about that. I also try and look forward through the windshield, and I see a potential bird flu, which was a big concern of the Obama administration. All these things are things that have been concerns for years. We've had movies based on them. Airborne outbreaks are not unheard of,
Right.
and we just experienced one. And with the bird flu, God forbid we should go through that, deal with that. At least with COVID, although there was a large amount of the country that was apprehensive or like downright adversarial to the vaccine, there was at least a little bit more more Americans that were down to get it. Now I feel like if there was a vaccine available for, say, a potential bird flu, I don't know who would be on board to get it, because now we don't even have a majority of people that believe anything that's coming out of there. Before it was about half, and now it seems like it would be closer to 0 than 50.
Well, I think one of the things that I'm paying attention to is where are the alliances of researchers and scientists who can provide some guidance now that we no longer have as much confidence or even the resources at the CDC and NIH. And I believe there's a Western alliance of physicians, scientists, researchers who will be looking at the data and providing guidance to people who are interested. And my guess is that that's going to be happening in other parts of the country. So for people who want information to make their own decisions, I think we're going to have to look for places like that because we won't have the CDC or NIH or any of those places.
Right.
So I think it's I worry about polio. I look at what happened in Florida, with them deciding that they will saying that there will be no mandated vaccines for kids going to school. And how many people are in and out of Florida? I mean, that's the vacation spot. That's literally the hot spot. So I worry about people dying from things that we weren't dying from before. So
Right.
already had a flu shot, and we've tried to get our COVID vaccine, and we've been told, well, we thought it was coming last week, but it's not here. Maybe it's coming this week. No, it's not here this week. So see, there's that confusion there.
Well, before I left Kaiser, the last interaction I had with the doctor there, she was very like forthcoming, and I kind of took it as just a physician that was just at her end. But like she was, I was asking her about the COVID vaccine and asking her about open enrollment and all this different stuff that I was going through at the time, and she was just like writing down on my chart, and she was just like, "The system is broken. The system is broken." Like she was just. It
Right.
was like a very human moment where she was like, I can't tell you, I feel you, homeboy.
Yeah.
But you could tell this woman was just like, I don't know what to tell you. This craziness above my head, and all I can do is what I can do right here with you. I just never, remember a time in my life, where it just seems like there's no government agency that is allowed to feel stable, whether it's our health agency or Department of Education. It just seems like everything is either being gutted or funding is 50-50. You don't know if this program, it just seems like everything is being kept on its back foot. And I wonder if that's not on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have similar concerns, and I think naively, I always believed that, you know, things build on each other and there's a natural movement towards improvement and progress. And that is not the case. I mean, it's not the case when we're talking about public health and a whole bunch of other things. So I'm very concerned, and I know people feel very passionately about vaccines, either for or against or wherever they may land. I would just like to be able to get, if I decide that that's something that I want, I'm over that 65 age range that they have specified, but can I really get it? Is it out there for me to get? And for people who choose not to do it, that's certainly is their decision, but let's have it available.
Exactly. All right, Ma, let's get to this. Our second to last unpleasant story. All right, Mama, we are talking to Epstein because everybody is talking about Epstein. I think Epstein represents a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And I think what I took yesterday from seeing the victims speak out is, at least for one day, Epstein stopped being this one name catch all for government conspiracy theorists or Trump apologists, Trump haters, whatever, and it just made them people. and we
Yeah.
got a chance to see these women speak out and speak directly their truth into the camera. And they seemed like a united front. And what I said yesterday on the show with Lauren Mack, shout out to Lauren Mack, who did a fantastic job on the show. It was the first time that I saw these accusers take their power back rather than just be talked about like they're just this commodity that can be shifted around and kind of hidden. Their testimony can be suppressed. And it just seemed like they were like, wait a second, we have access to microphones too. We don't have to wait for Congress. So what did you think when you saw that, when they cut into programming to hear them speak, except for Fox News? Fox News did not cut into programming. They left it on Trump and the president of Poland, or prime minister. So what did you think about when you saw those women speaking?
I was just so touched by the stories that they told, and hearing the individual stories and them reminding us that they were 14 years old, 15 years old. We're talking about a range of young women from different backgrounds that Maxwell and Epstein took advantage of. So I'm so glad that they are standing up, because there are people who really don't want to hear from them.
Yes. Well,
And
one of those people was Donald Trump, Mom, and I want to get your thoughts on this because Donald Trump was calling it
a
a hoax
hoax,
and saying
hoax.
he just kept trying to like put it down like, oh, you're talking about last year's fashion. Like he just kept saying we're over that, but it doesn't seem to be working.
No, I think people keep making the point that these are victims. And what I also appreciated about the press conferences and the statements that were made was that there were, women, Lauren Boebert and some of the other Republican uh,
Nancy Mace, yeah.
who are saying, okay, let's release the information. Let's get the information out here, and that this is not a hoax. So I have a little bit of hope that we're going to break through this. And I agree with what one of the commenters just a minute ago saying that they should release their own list. Absolutely, Sylvia. They should release their own list, because they know who was partaking of the sexual favors from Epstein and Maxwell.
Right.
So I don't think this will go away. It should not go away. These are victims, and there probably are others. And the other thing I want to say, Albert, is that um, this is about Maxwell and Epstein. This is a placeholder for other situations like this. So there are other victims who are watching this and needing to know that if they come forward with things that happen to them, that there's a system, that there will be some responsiveness to what they're saying, to what happened with them. So it's not just about this situation.
Absolutely. And as you look at that crowded photo there, there's safety in numbers.
Yeah,
And quite honestly, a lot of these women, I believe, were totally in the right by questioning their safety should they have come out as individuals,
absolutely.
because there are quite a few survivors who tried to speak their truth throughout the years, and things have happened to them.
That is
Some
correct.
of them have unalived themselves, you know however, maybe, I'm sure in a lot of situations, and they said it yesterday during some of their speech, that some of the survivors just couldn't go on, and I do think that that is a thing. But I mean, I think that there's a lot of people that don't think Epstein took his own life, and so if they were willing to do that to him, what do you think they were willing to do to a victim,
Yeah,
to get them to be silenced? I don't think that there's anything that would have guaranteed these women's safety except the fact that we've all seen their face and they are moving together as a cohesive unit. So I think there's even
correct.
more power in that. Now, my question to you, as I watched this yesterday, was where were the Democrats? Everybody says, well, this isn't a political issue. I'm like, well, this is happening on Capitol Hill. This
Yeah,
is shown on CNN. This is a political issue as well as just a human rights issue. and just being an effing human being issue. But this
Yeah.
is also a political issue. And I am just taken back by the fact that this your political adversary, Donald Trump, that is undoing a lot of your in any kind of initiative that you set forward as a party, he's undoing those at record speed. You're having trouble defeating him in certain districts or gerrymandering other districts. And I would say this would be an opportunity to be front facing on this issue, not only uh, just because it's the right thing to do, but also to show yourself as like, hey, we're the party, we're the real party of law and order. We're the real party of these these monsters. We're going to be the people to bring them to justice. I don't think I saw one Democratic face down there. Where were they?
I think there were some. Like I think Ro Khanna
Right.
is one who's really led in pushing this issue, and I think there are some others who just weren't front and center on the camera. I agree that this is one example of something that should be reaching across party identity, and so I would hope that there would be more Democratic women and men, other people who are front and center on this issue. So I don't think it was just Republicans. I think we should hear more, and they shouldn't be quiet. These women should not have to stand there by themselves. I think that having them surrounded by other folks in Congress would be a real statement.
It's one of the strangest uh situations that we've seen, because I would think that this would be the only thing that the Dems would be talking about, to the point where they would need to worry about over emphasizing this point. And really the only time I see Democrats on television is when they're kind of bemoaning the potential new mayor of New York, Zoran. A lot of them are very outspoken against him. I see them because I go with just like, what do I see on thumbnails? Because I know a lot of people, when they're going through articles, they're not going to read to the bottom. I will, because I'm a nerd. But what are the people seeing with headlines and pictures? We are animals.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what's the sentence you read? And if you just see Al Jackson arrested and you see me in handcuffs on a thumbnail, most people are not going to really read through that article. They might look or they might click for a second, but they'll just be like, yeah, I heard Al Jackson did something. And that's the information they go into the world with. So just seeing a Democrat or a group of them speaking and saying, this is what we're going to do, this is our policy initiatives, this is what we're bringing to the House floor, and we're demanding a vote on this, and if they don't vote, we're going to do this measure. If you act stridently, I also think the media apparatus will represent that. But if you're just like, yeah, it's horrible, I don't know, bro, anyway, crazy, right? Like I feel like the media goes to the camera of somebody that is speaking passionately, like a Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah. So here's what I think, Albert. I think that, first of all, we as citizens have to continue to reach out to our Congress people, to our reps, to our senators, to say what matters and what we expect, just as you did right then. I think we have to do that. And I think they need absolutely a better communication strategy, media strategy. There's so many things that are going on. It's like, which thing are you going to get out in front of the camera about? RFK
This
Jr.
one.
Or, yeah, I mean,
do this one.
Yeah. I agree. I think this is a big one. This is a big one. And I think this is one that a lot of people in this country would have a lot of support and appreciation for their representatives really being in front of the camera and saying, we're not letting this die. We are going to get this list. We are going to see that people who are listed there as taking advantage of these victims are identified. So,
from your lips, Mama, I'll just say this. I think maybe the reason we don't see a lot of them is because there's a lot of names on that list. I think, anybody, because it makes sense. All the people that we see in Congress, senators, they've already enriched themselves through illegal legal means, like with the stock market, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and these speeches that they give for $300,000 at some company that needs them to pass some legislation. So you're not going to get a lot of these politicians, especially the major ones, with money. So the only other way to bribe people is to get them on camera doing something that they shouldn't be doing. And I think anybody in power that didn't see this coming isn't familiar with the ways of how people are bribed. They just think it's a briefcase filled with money, handed to you on a park bench. I think a lot of them walked right into this disgusting trap. That's why I think that there's so many victims. We just saw dozens of them, and we all kind of fundamentally know there's probably hundreds more if this happened over the course of decades. I believe this Epstein thing
Exactly.
started in the early, when did he go to jail? 2007?
I don't remember.
Michael, yeah. I see colleagues. I can see Michael Dean like underneath my mom and I, like, you guys can't see him. And as soon as I said, when did Epstein go to jail? I just see Michael Dean's head perk up because he's on it. So we'll get that. But I believe it's like it was around 2007. Michael Dean, pop on whenever you have that exact time frame. But if this is going on for 20 some years, let's see. Yep, 2006 in July. So, and here we are in 2025. Yeah. And that's just when he went to jail.
That's when he first went to jail.
So then let's put 10 years, just his weird starch, where like Les Wexner handed him over financial control of the Limited when that was our biggest clothing brand. That was the Gap. That was Vicky's Secret. In the 90s, he just wrote that over to this guy that didn't graduate college.
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Yeah.
Who had just come out of jail after getting stitched up in a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, I agree. Lots of really powerful people.
Yes.
Do not want to see this come to light.
Yeah.
And that's why I think, I mean, one of your folks said a few minutes ago that perhaps Dems didn't want to be a distraction. And I think that might be the case as well. But I think let's not be distracted by all the other things that are going on. I think Democrats need to be out front. Libertarians need. I think this is your equal opportunity issue, because
it really is.
Anyone's daughter, anyone's niece, granddaughter.
Absolutely, yeah.
Too.
Let's stand up. Let's do one thing right as a people. All right, now, Ma, before we go to our next section, we always run this when we've been talking about some heavy stuff. Okay, we got a little palate cleanser. Now, this isn't the greatest story, but it's the end of an era for an icon. So let's get into it. All right. We all saw the news that Giorgio Armani left this earth at 91 years old. What an incredible life. Obviously, fashion icon. He dies just a few days before his brand's 50th anniversary in Milan. I believe that we have tickets to go there, Mama. So I wanted to ask you, when you think about Giorgio Armani, what do you think about? Because I know when I think about Yves Saint Laurent, I think about Nana's just like her like getting ready area and how it smelled, and seeing like the YSL or whatever that would be, yes. But just that logo. So what do you think about when you think about Giorgio Armani?
When I think about Giorgio Armani, I think about how, particularly when he first came on the scene, it was total class that I think spoke to all kinds of people. Everyone wanted to emulate the Armani look. And then when he diversified later on with fragrance and, household furnishings and decor and all of those things, I think that just extended the kind of regard that people had for him. So I think it's more than just the House of Armani. What happened was that Armani Exchange kind of became the common people's Armani.
Yes.
So I
That,
think
that
it's
was that was the polo sport
okay.
of
Yes.
Ralph Lauren. Yeah.
Right. Right. So I think
Yeah.
he represented a lot to people. I think it is, you called it the end of an era. I think that's right. I think it does represent a punctuation. Let's call it a punctuation for an era.
Right. And I mean, I think people look at the end of an era as a bad thing, but I don't know if it's always a bad thing that we can kind of cap like the starting and end of an era and encapsulate that for all time. It will be revisited. People will take from that vision and build on it. But I think it's kind of cool to be like, because somebody else will take over and they'll have a different vision, a different direction
Yes.
that they're going to take it. But I do think it's kind of a beautiful thing to just have such a signature look and a signature name that no matter where in the world you say it, people know what you're talking about, and people kind of look at it because it is a very regal way to dress, and just like it's a way to level up. And I think everybody, no matter how much you're like, oh, I don't care about that stuff, everybody wants to look nice every once in a while, smell good, you know?
Yeah, well, you know that photo you just showed of him that I think we've seen in the news a lot? He looks kind of understated, elegant.
Yes.
You know, he looks like somebody you know. So it really is, he represents, I think, a fashion that you think you could aspire to, which you could aspire, um, even if you really couldn't afford it. But he
Right.
did.
You just go, I like that sweater, and then you click on it and it's $698, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, like 3,000 and whatever.
Yes, I don't think he's wearing
That
anything
would
that
be
doesn't
our
have
money
a comma in
exchange.
the number.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Mom, I wanted to ask you about this.
To be new feels like heaven in the afternoon.
All right, Mama, we're talking Golden Bachelor. That's right. Now, they just released the season 2 cast. I first of all have to ask you, do you watch this show?
I have not watched it. No. I
Okay.
like the idea of it, but I have not watched it yet.
Well, a lot of them, Sarah and I just finished up Bachelor in Paradise last night. The 2 hour, well, I think all the episodes are 2 hours now, but I'm not gonna lie, we watched Bachelor, the Golden Bachelor, like she watches all those shows, so by proxy, I watch them. My buddy Ramon Rivas, he's kind of in the same boat. And I said, do you watch like The Bachelor and all that kind of stuff? And he goes, well, I'm in the room as it's happening, so by proxy, we take it in and we end up watching it as well. So I wanted to ask you, Mom, do you have like a lot of friends, because you found the incredible, lovable Montez later in life? Do you think that that's kind of the nerve that this show is striking, because there's a lot of people that are looking for love later in life?
Yeah, I think absolutely. And I think even though, the Golden Bachelor season 1 did not work out as people thought it would, and I'm sure as the whole Golden Bachelor franchise thought it would, I think it still does give hope. And when people ask me how long you've been married and I say 2 years, they do like a double take, like, what? 2 years? How did that happen? So I think it does intrigue people, and I often have and usually it's women who are making a comment to me saying, well, that gives me hope that there's possibly someone out there for me, for people who haven't been fortunate enough to be married for, 40 or 50 years.
Well, what would you tell somebody that's kind of like, because I do know people, just a little bit older than me, and some people that are my age, and they honestly think like they missed their boat. They feel like if they didn't get married, you know, late 20s, early 30s, it's over for them. So what would you say to them?
I would say stay hopeful and continue to leave. This is going to sound a little woo woo, but to continue to leave something in your heart open for that possibility. And, that wasn't what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting to find someone like Montez and to be married again at this point in life. And it's been just pretty amazing. So I'd say stay hopeful, be yourself, look for the natural ways to connect and meet with people, which is, I hear a lot of folks say, where are you going to find somebody? But
right. Mom, to that point, I think a lot of people, and actually, when I was scrolling on Instagram earlier today, I started looking at this woman this black woman in Atlanta, and she's, detailing her dating journey. That I coined the phrase, where it's just like, wait, what's my phrase? Uh, Not organic, not farm raised. What's the phrase? It'll hit me. What do you
Okay.
call something when it's not doesn't have products on it?
Naturally grown, naturally
Well,
organic.
it's basically like grass-fed dating. It's just like people are still they're going back to the bars. They're meeting people, and I think the apps have run their cycle. And I'm a person that met my person on an app. So
Dating. Yeah.
I like analog dating. That's not free range. That's what my
Yeah.
catchphrase is.
Okay.
Free range dating, but I like analog dating too. And I've met my person on an app, and so I'm not poo-pooing that at all. But I had my old podcast partner, Corinne. I remember she stays on the apps, and I was asking her, I was like, what percentage of people on the apps do you think are scams? And she said probably about 40 or 50% now.
Mm-hmm.
Or just people that are like, hello, Jackie, very beautiful. You want to talk on WhatsApp? She said they always want to get you off that platform and, onto another one.
Yes.
Now, that just made me think about something, because we have talked about this a lot on the show. Do you know any friends or people that are close to you that have been a victim of a love scam? Because I was just talking to a friend yesterday whose mom got scammed by, I'm just going to say it, by a Denzel Washington.
Right.
I know it's always George Clooney or something, but they're so prevalent.
Yeah. I don't know anyone. No. I've certainly have heard the same stories that you're talking about, but I don't know anyone who has admitted that they have been scammed or almost scammed by it. And I just want to add, I did not meet my person on an app. It was the old-fashioned way.
Yes.
Someone saying, would you be willing to meet this person for dinner?
What made you say yes? Because you might have just been like, I got a lot going on, like, there had to be something inside of you.
Well, first of all, it was your sister who asked me if I'd be willing to have dinner with him. And she and her husband had known him for a long time. So that was kind of quaint,
Right.
And if I was going to go and meet him for dinner with them, then that provided some safety. And I was open. I was curious. I guess that was it.
Right.
I was curious.
Yeah. And I mean, but I am so glad that you pursued that, because when I met him, I was just like, at first, Montez is so great that I was like, what's going on here? I was like, this is like an unbelievable person. What's the catch? And he's just wonderful. But I do think it does help. And that's the thing that the apps can't do, is they can't verify people. Like your friends that you've known for 20 years, when they say, hey, I've known this guy, he's been divorced a few years, I think you guys should get lunch. That should go a long way, because that person should have some credibility in your life.
Yeah. I also have to say what you did, which was after you knowing him for 24 hours, we're at the airport, you're leaving to go to Denver, I'm going to New Orleans to work, Montez is there. You have clearly decided that you think he's a swell guy. And you turned to me and you said, Mom, this is a great guy. Don't mess this up. And then you need to go through security. I'm like, what did he just do and say? I just met this man. So,
I knew. I can read people like an FBI interrogator. I knew. And I called you because I was like, do you call Montez? And he'd be like, I'm going to. I was like, nah, dog. Call him now. Call me. I'll wait on hold. I knew he was a special person, and he has not disappointed, only elevated our family and our life. And we are all one family at this point. So shout out to Tez on that. So, Mom, I did want to get your opinion on this story because I think it has a lot more layers than just the initial headline, which is kind of eye-catching. All right, Mom, we're talking about ketamine. It's a subject that, you start every day with me. I'm like, enough about the ketamine, Mom. Yeah, but, in all seriousness, the ketamine queen is found guilty in Matthew Perry's death and faces 65 years in prison. Like I said, it's a long time. Yeah. And I'm like, look, ketamine is something I did a show a couple weeks ago, talked to a couple afterwards, and she was a scientist, he was a stay-at-home dad, and she was like, I take a daily small ketamine dose for her depression or anxiety, and she found the company on Instagram, and she said it's a legit company. You go through, you have to talk to a medical professional, but this ketamine is a drug that, when administered by a medical professional or somebody that's been certified, is a drug that can be, administered and has been seen to show positive effects.
Sure, there are therapists who use it.
Right. So, like,
it does have legitimate purposes.
It does. And so, like,
years seems like a long time.
What do you think about this case?
I think it's a long time. I have to say, I don't know all the details, but for example, I know that his personal assistant, was also, because he was a person who procured for him, and then there was a physician also who has pled guilty. So I don't know what the relationship is between all of those sentences, but 65 years seems like a really long time.
It seems like a statement is trying to be made through this woman's, sentencing. Because, like I said before, and this is no shade to Matthew Perry, I do appreciate the fact that he was open for a long part of his life about his addiction and his issues. But I mean, he had an extensive drug past. I'm sure his liver was probably barely functioning just from the years of abuse or, what you do to your body. And her coming in at the end and selling this to him, I don't know if this is the way to regulate an industry, is by an exorbitant sentence that's meant to scare people into not selling ketamine. But there's a market there. And if there's a market there, people are going to sell it. That's just what it is. That's how this economy works. Whether it's illegal or not, people are going to sell it. And I don't know if making an example out of this woman is the best way to maybe address this issue of long-term drug use, address the issue of depression, anxiety, and how it runs rampant in our society, and normalizing it and finding maybe even more of a medical way to treat it. But I just don't know. I'm in your boat. I don't know if 65 years for a 40-something-year-old woman, like, what is the point of that?
Well, the other question I have is, if the victim was Norma Jones up the street, would they be giving her a 65-year prison sentence? And, it's terrible. It is terrible. And regardless of Matthew Perry's illness, it was terrible for that to happen. But I do wonder if his fame and how people feel about that is somehow influencing it. I wish I had more details, but I don't.
But you can assume that it does. I mean, people want to be famous because there's a lot of perks that come with that.
Yeah.
And if you've ever hung out with a famous person or just been in public, when a famous person comes through, the hustle and bustle that's around them, usually the entourage that's around them.
Yeah.
What do you think that entourage is there to do? Clear open doors? Like, no, they're there to procure things.
Yeah.
And, when you're as famous as Matthew Perry is, one of the most recognizable people in American culture, maybe in American television history, there's not a lot of places he can go where anybody's going to tell him no.
Right.
No, like we all, I'm not saying that we are all complicit, but we are all human beings. And when the heavyweight champ or Kim Kardashian or Michael Jordan or LeBron James or the Taylor Swift, whatever those people came and asked you for, I guarantee you, including myself, you would try to get it for them.
Yeah.
And so it's very difficult to throw this woman's life away, throw her assistant's life away for this. Jail time, for sure. The amount of jail time, let's talk about it. But 65 years, you don't even see that with some school shooters. Like they might get 25 to life with the option for parole. Like 65 years is one of the highest sentences that I've seen, and I've been covering the news every day for 8 years. It seems like it is based on, who he is rather than, the actual crime of what you did. Because if we start putting people in jail for drugs, I mean, the Sackler family,
yes,
they're all just fine. That's interesting. And I was living in Florida during that opioid pandemic or the flooding of that area. And remember, I ruptured my Achilles tendon when I was down there. And if your son wanted opioids, we wouldn't be doing this podcast right now.
Yeah.
Because they were coming at me. I had no interest.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize till years later with the documentaries what I was living through.
Right.
Because I was teaching middle school at the time, and I would be driving to work, and I'd be like, why is there a line of people in front of the CVS at 7:40 in the morning?
Yeah.
But you don't know what you're looking at until 20 years later when there's a ton of documentaries on Netflix, and you're like, oh, that sadly makes more sense now. So, I wanted to get to this because this is fun. Michael Dean, let's do this fun story that involves the White House toss. So let's do that. Do you have that video, Mike? I know we can pull it up. Okay. All right. So, Mom, what did you think that was thrown out of the White House window? Like it's like somebody got caught cheating in the Bronx.
That was not AI.
That was not AI. Thank you.
Not AI. I don't know. But I mean, what were they thinking? What were they thinking?
It's so perplexing. Just the idea of throwing anything out of a window. Your first thought is there's probably people down there. I don't know what that could have been. The White House said, yeah, maybe ELC, maybe it was trash. But at least then ELC put it in a bag. So at least we can say, oh, because I can understand somebody being too lazy to walk some trash down the way,
right.
Even though, but I think we all know that it wasn't that. And it's one of those things where I don't know if the White House would ever have like the nerve to do this. Just be honest. Trump says it's fake, but yesterday the White House press secretary said that it was a contractor. First of all, contractors do not throw metal and aluminum and hammers and nails out of a window.
Yeah.
That is the best. I mean, what if there's an 8th grade class walking downstairs? Like, I don't think it was like a dense object that was thrown, but like have fun with it and just be honest and be like, I was really mad. I was watching the game and I threw my University of Cincinnati sweatshirt out the window. Like, then it's like, all right, that's not great, but at least I can believe it. You give me a little more.
Somebody out there knows the way that people are real sleuths these days. Somebody knows what window that was and what the angle was and all of that. So
yes,
I'm just waiting for the info.
These internet sleuths have made life a lot more interesting. Now, Mom, before we go, I did want to ask you, have you seen the Powerball? It's at 1.7 billion.
Yeah.
Have you ever played the lotto? I'm going to guess, knowing my mother for 48 years, you have absolutely never played the lotto.
I bought a $4 ticket earlier this week.
No, you did not.
Sure, I did. Yeah, obviously I didn't win, but yeah, I did.
I would have bet every penny I had that you would have never played the lotto. Okay, so are you gonna buy? It's at 1.7 billion now.
So the truth is that I did suggest to Montez that we buy one more ticket. Now we spent, I spent $4 before. So we're not talking about buying $20 worth of tickets because the chances of this happening are slim to none. So
All right. Well, before we go, I wanted to put you on the spot a little bit, give you a little quiz about my life. So,
okay.
Michael, I just wanted you. I'm gonna pop some pictures up, and I want you to tell me because I have no idea where we were and roughly like how old I was. So, Michael, then you want to put the first one up? It doesn't. Yeah. Oh,
Yes, that was your elementary school in Cleveland Heights. That was the playground at Coventry Elementary School. Yeah.
surrounded by bars. It looks like I went to
Well, that was an old
downtown
school.
Baghdad.
That was an old school playground before
Yes.
playgrounds were rehabbed.
Yes. Just metal and wood chips and brick.
Yes.
I love it. Yes. And okay, the outfit, I was gonna wear that today. But I don't think it's
I
shorts weather
couldn't get
yet.
it there for you.
All right, Michael Dean, what's the next one you got for us?
Yes, that's perfect. That was at your Uncle Gerald and Aunt Pat's house. That was a cookout or something that day. And that is an Albert face. That's an Albert Benjamin face.
What do you remember what caused that reaction? It looks like
Probably
I just
just,
got caught on cheaters.
yeah, no. I think it was just you seeing a camera. You love to make faces. You are always very expressive from babyhood forward.
Okay. Now, did you take me to the barber and you were like, that he's done? Or did you say nailed it, love the haircut, and then let me walk out with a half a bowling ball?
I'm sure I loved it.
That is quite the haircut. I wish I could grow
What
that
is
now.
wrong with that haircut? I think it's cute.
Okay, I'm gonna grow it back just for you. All right, Michael Dean, what's the next one?
Oh, this is prom. Why is that suit so big?
What's happening? Like, this is what happens when you buy off the rack. You first of all, I had no money, so you definitely bought that. So you need to own that.
I probably did. And I think yes, that suit swallowed you up. But I think your date's name was something like Fancy.
Yes, that was the fancy. I went, colleagues. I think some of you guys know that I went to homecoming, or was it homecoming or prom, with a girl named Fancy,
Yes.
and my aunt Phyllis, who I love to death, decided to name her family pet after. She just loved that name. I just remember her hearing that name and the joy that went through her body.
It did. She named her dachshund Fancy. Fancy
Fancy.
lived for a very long time. Long-haired dachshund.
Yes, and I remember I borrowed Dad's Forerunner. I was like, "That's right." And now, yes, I can grow into it. Hopefully,
Sure,
Christina
you
asked,
can go
I
into
was going to
it.
grow 3 to 4 inches at the prom to make that fit. That is unbelievable. All right, Michael Dean, let's get to the last one. All
Oh,
right,
yes.
it's
That was a family photo. And I think that you were with your grandparents or great grandparents or something. I just thought those were the cutest glasses.
I
So
kind of wear glasses like that now. Those fit
they're
my
back
face
in style.
strangely.
Yeah, but that was one of those studio, you know,
Oh,
photos
you can
at the
tell by the
mall.
background.
Yes.
Yes, that was when you used to go to like Kmart or wherever yes, glamour shots, and you would just go and you'd be like, look at the different backgrounds. They always had like the Western one. There was like a bale of hay that you
Yeah.
could sit on. Some had the neon lights behind you.
Yep.
Yes, that's it. And apparently I was like a medicine man on somewhere in the Dakotas,
The
that
shirt.
outfit.
But
But
honey,
yes,
look how nicely your teeth came out.
it works. Shout out to those braces and Invisalign. You could see the braces hadn't really taken effect yet. They were really just there to establish some territory in my mouth, and eventually he's going to shove those teeth together. All right, Michael Dean, I appreciate it. And you know who else I appreciate? I appreciate you, Mama.
Thank you, sweetie.
That you were amazing. I'm not surprised by that. But I just want to tell you, like, this has been one of the best experiences. We will have you back on when Tori's on, because I want her to talk to you about the idea of maybe looking into getting another dog, something we might want to throw out there. So I think she knows more about dogs than any person I've ever met. Plus, I just want to see my two girls talk to each other.
I love Tory.
All right. Well, Mom, we got you set up. You are loved. You are now an official colleague. You are part of us here at Friends from Work. So on behalf of myself, my mother, Dr. Jackie Mac. Oh, really quickly, what is your Instagram? Where can everybody find you?
I think it's Jackie McLemore.
Such a social media hound.
Yeah. I'm actually on there a lot, but I've just never had the clever handles. But I'm on there.
Okay, we will post your handle tomorrow. So all the colleagues. Oh, there we go. Mike, Mom, do you see what would I do without Michael Dean? He is just here for all of us. Michael Dean, we love you. Thank God you were here today. And colleagues, we couldn't do the show without you guys. So on behalf of myself, my mama, Dr. J, and Michael Dean, I'm saying see you next week.
Thank you, everyone. I love meeting
you,
the
Mama.
colleagues.